Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Carrie Hansen. I am the Admissions and Outreach Coordinator at Eastern Iowa Community College, and I am located at the Muscatine campus. So thank you for being here. We just want to tell you all that this will be recorded. It is recording now, and we will send this out along with the panel discussion we had yesterday with 3 different businesses, so everyone can view it as well. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Mandy and turn it over to her.
Wonderful. Thanks, Carrie, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Mandy Parcher, and I'm the chairperson of the Eastern Iowa, Western Illinois Advanced Manufacturing Sector Board. The Sector Board is a collaboration of manufacturers and industry supporters in the Quad Cities region who gather to help students like you to have a better understanding of career pathways in manufacturing. In past years, we've hosted a field trip experience for hundreds of students in our region with the intent of providing a hands-on demonstration of the manufacturing industry to increase awareness and excitement about the careers available in the industry. Like most events this year, as a result of COVID-19 and to ensure the safety and well-being of everyone involved, we're unable to meet with you in person and provide the same hands-on experience. However, we do hope that you'll find value connecting with many local manufacturers through today's panel discussion, as well as watching yesterday's previously recorded session. Each employer offers a different perspective on the industry while showcasing different technologies and career pathways. Following today's event, I challenge you to ask yourself, how did this experience change your perspective of the manufacturing industry? And could you see yourself working in the manufacturing industry in the future? If you have any questions after the event today, feel free to contact me directly. My email is parchertm@hnicorp.com. I'll also include this information in the chat for anyone who needs it. Again, thank you for attending today's session. We hope to connect with you in the near future for job shadows, tours, or other on-the-job learning experiences. But until then, we'll continue to connect virtually. With that, I would like to share my screen. The Governor Reynolds of the state of Iowa has recorded a statement of her support of this event and this initiative that she'd like to share with everyone involved.
Greetings from our beautiful state capital. I want to thank the team at the Eastern Iowa, Western Illinois Advanced Manufacturing Sector Board for revealing the cutting-edge career pathways advanced manufacturing has to offer. They've truly delivered a glimpse into the technology-driven jobs of the future through their video series. A big thanks to the companies who made it possible for students to see themselves in a manufacturing career. As governor, I can tell you manufacturing is definitely for anyone looking for a great career here in our state. Advanced manufacturing is driving Iowa's economy to the tune of $30 billion annually, and it employs 14% of our workforce while contributing over 17% to our gross domestic product. That's right, America's largest producer of corn, pigs, and eggs reaps twice as much from manufacturing than farming, but much of that manufacturing fuels our world-class agriculture industry. In 2018, Iowa exported $18 billion worth of manufactured and value-added goods. And when we look to the future, it's estimated that manufacturers expect to fill 4.6 million jobs between now and 2028. So the in-demand jobs of tomorrow start today. And I'm extremely proud of the partnerships we've built throughout our state. We've seen work-based learning in action, and the results are undeniable for students, employers, and educators. The nation looks to Iowa as a leader in registered apprenticeship programs, with over 130 new programs just this year. It's momentum that is building despite the pandemic. There is no better way for students to test drive careers than by connecting them with the industry who needs them most, and the educators who can build a bridge from the classroom to the on the shop floor. Together, I know we can create a future-ready workforce, and I can't think of a better way to learn more about the opportunities than with the group of folks leading the panel discussion today. To the students and educators, thank you for logging in and stepping up to ask questions, challenge perceptions, and explore opportunities with leaders in the industry. There are opportunities around every turn, so thank you for discovering them with us today.
Okay, with that, I'll turn it back over to Carrie.
Great, thanks, Mandy. Well, thanks everyone for being here. I know that we have a few students on. I'm going to launch some poll questions right now, and then I will launch 2 more at the end. So if you just want to take a moment to answer this question that popped up on your screen. This just tells us what high school you're from. All right. And we have one more about gender. Thank you, everyone. So for anyone in the audience today, we just want to let you know that we have some questions we're going to ask, but if you have specific questions, we want to hear from you. So please feel free to use the chat box at any time to ask the questions, and I will get to your question after we finish the question that's being asked at the moment. So we just have some guided questions, but your questions are most important to us. So we'll go ahead and start. For each one of our panelists today, please introduce yourself and your company and talk about your education path. And John, we're going to go ahead and start with you.
Okay, thanks. Welcome, everybody. I'm John Ehlers. I am VP Manufacturing Operations Manager here at Bowe Machine. My education path, high school diploma, left high school and received a pattern makers union card. So I am a journeyman pattern maker by trade. From there, I took various continuing education classes throughout my career to enhance and move on and end up where I am at today. But I do not have a college degree of any sort on my resume.
Thanks, John. Travis, how about you?
Hi, my name is Travis Turner. I'm the general manager of Eckhart Davenport. I grew up on the UP in a beef farm, went to school, got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and have spent the last 15 plus years in different segments of the manufacturing industry. About halfway through that, I went back and got an MBA through University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, but have never really left the shop floor farmer mentality, if you will, of the closer you get to the action, the more accomplished you feel at the end of the day. So I'm a big fan of that side of the industry.
Thank you. Mandy.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mandy Parcher. I'm the Workforce Development Business Partner with HNI Corporation, which means essentially I'm a human resources manager, but that I work with students in addition to educators and community members to increase the awareness and interest in careers in manufacturing while helping people find jobs. HNI, we are a $2.3 billion manufacturer of workplace furnishings and building products, which means that we make the desks, chairs, storage units that are used in most schools within our region, as well as companies. We have over 10,000 people worldwide that work for us, or what we call members, and about 40% of those are based at our headquarters in Muscatine, Iowa, so just down the road from the Quad Cities. Prior to working for HNI, I'm originally from Macomb, Illinois. I graduated high school and I went to St. Louis University. I was determined to be a doctor, so I studied biology with the intent to go pre-med, And after about the first year of education and $30,000, I realized that I did not want to be a doctor. And I stayed at SLU, but I transferred over to the business school and studied human resources and information technology management. I remember feeling really depressed and just that I failed at my education path. And what it made me realize is that I wish I had more opportunities in high school to learn about different career pathways and what education is required for certain paths, as well as better understanding what I like to do and what I'm good at and how that can be a career. And so ultimately, after working in St. Louis for a couple of years, I moved up towards the Quad Cities. I worked for John Deere for a year, and then I was recruited by HNI to be a recruiter with them. And so that's definitely one of the things I love the most about my job is I get to provide opportunities to students that I didn't have, and help change that perception and help students understand career paths differently.
Thank you, Mandy. John, I'm going to come back to you. We've got a question in our chat, so we're going to go to that. For students who feel like they need or should want to attend a four-year institution, what are some degree programs they should look at based on the needs you have at your company?
Great question. I would say, any business degree, in the manufacturing industry it's gonna give you a broad range in understanding of what makes a company tick. And so I would tell anybody to, if you have no idea what you're going to do, that's a great career path or education path to go get some education specific to, our business here at Bowe Machine and then my background where I came through, going and even getting a 2-year, like out at Eastern Iowa Community College, Blackhawk, getting your hands on a machine, learning the hands-on trade and taking the basic math courses, that sort of thing. I think that's a great stepping stone between high school and getting your foot in a door in any manufacturing business. So.
Absolutely. I'm obviously a big proponent of those 2-year degrees. Travis, do you want to talk about this question?
Sure. I'm pretty much on the same page with John. I think the more you can get hands-on experience, the better. And if you are a person that a 4-year degree is the obvious right path for you, great, go pursue it. If you're sitting there thinking, I'm on the fence, I'm not really sure, don't go saddle up tens of thousands of dollars of student debt to figure that lesson out. Go get a job in the industry, go work for a manufacturing company. Ask if they have a tuition reimbursement program. Ask if they're willing to let you go part-time. Will you go to college part-time, or are you going to work part-time, go to college full-time? Like, there's a lot of hybrid pathways to get that education. Oftentimes employers will have some sort of incentive to do that with you. And then you're going to have a lot more experience to draw on when you get that education, saying, is this value added for me? Or you don't want to get 3 years into a 4-year degree and realize this isn't really where I want to go, and still go back to an entry-level manufacturing position, which you could have had essentially right now.
Absolutely. Travis, while you're talking, could you tell us a little bit more about your company, what you like most about your job, and why did you choose to work in manufacturing?
Yeah, I kind of talked about the academic side of my background, but I had welding for 3 years in high school. I competed in VICA at the time. I think it was Skills USA after that. I'm not sure if that terminology has changed. That kind of led me down the manufacturing path. My first internship in college, I was design engineer. I sat in a cubicle. I actually got a blister on my thumb from folding paper the first week. After 3 months of sitting in that cubicle on a computer, I was ready to jump out the window and become a lawnmower or something. But I was able to get into the manufacturing side of mechanical engineering, back to more hands-on things. That was more tangible for me, and that's really kind of where I've spent the majority of my career. As far as the company itself, Eckhart, we're a manufacturing company that builds tooling for other manufacturing companies. I like to put the technical sales pitch out there of anybody that builds a lot of stuff. You name who that is. John Deere is obviously the most applicable, HNI, those types of companies. We make stuff for them to make their stuff faster, more ergonomic, safer, less expensive, whatever that is. So all of our products go to other manufacturing companies to help them make their products. As far as what I like most about my job, definitely the variation in the industry, the variation in the companies we work with. There's never a boring day that's the same thing over and over again.
Thank you so much. John, I'm going to throw it over to you for the same question. Tell us a little bit more about your company. What is your favorite part of your job? Why did you get into manufacturing?
Well, Bowe Machine is a job shop. So, one of the things I would say, if you went into 100 machine shops, we probably are going to stand out as doing very large work. So, we make car crushers and rotors that are probably 12 foot in diameter. It takes big machinery and big pieces to be able to do that. But we do small machining as well. Why did I get into manufacturing? I'll be honest with you. I had an older brother that was an A student and it just came easy to him. I'm the middle child that I was smart, but I didn't apply myself. I liked having fun more than anything. I enjoyed working and building and just staying busy. So I had the opportunity right out of high school to go work at a pattern shop, and I did so. And, that kind of just drove me down getting an apprenticeship and a degree, let's say, in that trade. I love learning. I love learning. I hated doing the same thing over and over and over again. So the thing that kept me going my entire life was it was never the same thing twice. It's always something different every single day. I got into the engineering side, became an engineering manager for about 8 years prior to this job. So yeah, I love it. I totally thrive on the whole aspect of manufacturing, from the engineering side to where you actually produce the part, and then you get to see those pieces and parts out in the world and sit there and talk to your wife, your kids, your friends. I built that, I designed that, I engineered that, or I have a patent on that. So that's what is about me and why I'm in it. So.
Thank you so much. Mandy, you've got a unique background, starting pre-med and then kind of going into human resources. So tell us, why did you choose manufacturing?
Yeah, great question. I think ultimately I didn't. It kind of chose me. Honestly, I didn't know much about manufacturing. I had never heard of HNI Corporation before moving to the Quad Cities and ultimately starting at John Deere, kind of the first manufacturer that I worked at. But what I realized is that many of the top companies in our area that have good paying jobs and could provide me the life that I wanted were manufacturing companies. Working in human resources, I understand compensation, benefits, and all the details that come in a job offer, which is so much more than just the base salary. But the offers that I've received from manufacturing companies have always been some of the best in the job market. And now I'm married, I have a family, we built our dream home, I own a nice car, we travel when there's not a pandemic, and we don't have to worry about our job. And that's really what I was looking for and what I wanted, and manufacturing was able to provide that for me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Travis, could you tell us what is Manufacturing 4.0 and how is it impacting your business?
So Manufacturing 4.0 or Industry 4.0 is kind of the fourth evolution of manufacturing. And it's really gone from, Industry 3.0, where kind of computers were a part of it, but very individual, to kind of the interconnectivity, right? It's the Internet of Things for manufacturing. That's really what Industry 4.0 is, at least to me. Eckhart definitely, tries to put itself front and center of that. We consider ourselves a Industry 4.0 solutions provider, and it's really just talking about how do you give interconnection to your manufacturing process, You're not just buying a process to do one thing. You got to get it from start to finish all the way through your building. So how many different things can you connect? Machine learning and AI are coming into that forefront on the robotics side, but there's a lot of other interconnectivity stuff. We're working on a project right now for a large equipment manufacturer where we're going through about 12 steps in assembly line on top of an AGV, which is an autonomous guided vehicle. We're doing things like attaching axles to it, flipping the machine frame upside down so you can do wiring on the bottom without having employees laying on their back on creepers on the floor. Those types of things, all of that's interconnected where you don't have to rely on an operator with a crane to do each one of these handoffs or a separate tool to do axle secures. All that's kind of integrated into the manufacturing line. And that's really Eckhart's bread and butter in the manufacturing world.
That sounds great. John, I'm going to ask you a different question. What jobs in manufacturing are in demand now? What will be in demand in the future? And because we know that our students like to know, what do these positions pay? What is the starting wages or the salaries for these positions?
Great question. If I talk Bowe Machine specifically, machinists are always going to be in demand. They're in demand today. They were yesterday. They're going to be tomorrow. Pay range for a machinist here is $16 all the way up to $35 an hour. Our shop average is right around $22 an hour. So you can very quickly make a decent living, and then if you're really good at it, make great money as being a machinist. On top of just all the machining world here, engineering, maintenance. If you love maintaining or tearing into equipment and problem solving, that sort of thing, maintenance is a huge demand, I would say, not only here, but everywhere that I ever talk with any company, finding strong maintenance people. And, you're talking, from $50,000 a year up into probably $130,000, $140,000 a year in the maintenance side of things. So that's a couple places I could share and throw some numbers out. But there's many more. There's a lot more. If you look at 10 to 20 years from now, our workforce is, they're on the older side. I mean, even me, I'm going to be out of here in 10 years, so you're going to need young people coming in, starting from the ground and working their way all the way up into running this company. So those are the opportunities are there.
Thank you so much. Mandy, please tell us about some opportunities that you see coming up and what's in demand and starting salaries and benefits.
Yeah, so right now I'd say it's definitely that what I would call kind of a mid-skill level job that's in demand. So welders, CNC machine operators, individuals who maybe a little bit advanced training outside of high school, or even if it's just a welding class in high school, some of those industrial tech classes can really help kind of propel their career into more of that skilled role. What we found is that we have a lot of our workforce is in that lower skill or that entry level qualification. And then we also have too many people with college degrees than jobs that require it. And so it really is that mid-skill as we look at welding, CNC, even the skilled trades, kind of maintenance mechanic groups. I would say our entry level welding and CNC start out at about $16 an hour. There's definitely some pay for experience and pay for what you can provide. So it varies, but that would be really in that minimum range. Skilled trades, and that usually comes after an apprenticeship program. You're looking at $25 to $35 an hour starting out, at least with our organization. And that doesn't include the benefits of just the healthcare, dental, vision, the 401k contributions. We all want to retire someday, right? That's the whole goal of going to work now, is that we can get paid later and not have to work. And so really looking at a job offer and what a company provides beyond the entry wage or salary is really important. I'd also just focus on, as we think of Industry 4.0, all of our jobs are changing just with new technology, and even our engineers, even our technicians, they're required to do things differently than they did, years ago due to Industry 4.0 and new digital technology and how data connects to the technical side of the job. And so it's just requiring us all to think differently, do things differently, really look at technology and data and how we work that into our mechanical techniques and skills. So that, I think, is definitely a job demand in the future. And we're certainly looking at it in HNI and creating new jobs. One of them that we talked about the other day, it's a hybrid of a mechanical engineer and an IT data analyst. That it really needs both of those skill sets, and how does that apply? Because it's not our traditional mechanical engineer and it's not our traditional IT analyst. So looking at jobs like that differently, I think are certainly in demand for the future.
Thank you so much. Travis, I have a question for you. What are some skills necessary to be successful in the manufacturing industry? And in addition, how do subjects like math and English apply to these careers? Why are they important? In addition to that, yesterday we had a good question about what is the basic requirement to get a job in manufacturing. We had a high school student ask if you could get a job if you were 18 but still in high school. So could you talk through some of those things?
Sure. So skill-wise, I think hard skills like can you weld or can you machine, great things to have, very useful. Put them on your resume. You can pretty much go anywhere and get a job because you have them. If you want to excel in that job or you want to keep that job, reliability, punctuality, ambition, those are probably more important than the ability to weld or machine, right? Can you get to work on time 5 days a week? Once you're at work, can you stay off social media and get work done? Those two things are probably the biggest weeder, if you will. The skills everybody's been talking about, right? Welders and machinists and all of that is definitely in demand. If you want to talk about math and English, you certainly don't need to have a PhD in mathematics or be able to recite the Webster Dictionary, but you do have to know how to do math, right? I mean, metric and English unit conversion. Every machinist and every welder gets prints in English and in metric all the time, and you have to be able to go back and forth. That's not super high level math, but it's important. Can you read a tape measure and a caliper and a micrometer? Can you plug in coordinates on a CNC control? So math is definitely applicable. On the English front, right? Can you type an email to your supervisor or to an engineer and say, can you just articulate what your question is? Some of those things, again, you don't have to be a world expert, but if you can't write a 2-sentence email asking a question about a technical problem you need to solve, then that's a skill that is holding you back a little bit. Did I answer? You hit me with 3 or 4 there. How many did I remember?
That's okay. My other question is, what is the basic requirements? We had a student yesterday ask, she's 18, but she's still in high school. Can you get a job in manufacturing or at your company when you're 18, but you're still in high school?
I have 3 of them right now employed.
Great. So is the basic requirement being 18?
So 18 is the easiest thing to do a cutoff with. It does prevent you from running cranes or forklifts or some of those things. But we're involved in an apprenticeship program with local high schools, and I have 3 high school apprentices, and 2 of the 3 are 17 right now and working for us 20 hours a week during the school year.
Great. Thank you. John, same questions for you. What is the basic requirements? What are some of the skills needed to be successful? How do you think math and English come into play there?
Yeah, I mean, ours is similar to Travis. Things I would really stress, and he did as well. Entry level, you can start out here at 18. And if you're 18 years old, you can walk in the door. We have quite a few employees that know nothing about what we do. And in the end, they come in. The number one thing I would say is show up for work every day. Number 2 is that you put effort into your job and you work hard. And then attitude. Have a positive, open-minded, I want to learn attitude. And if you put those 3 together, you show up every day, you work hard, and you want to learn, you really don't have to have a whole lot of skills, and we're gonna build you and turn you into what we need and what you need. to be there. We're going to pay for your schooling. If you want to take schooling, we're going to pay for that. There's a lot of opportunities for young individuals to go right out of high school and walk right into manufacturing and go anywhere they want to go. And it'd be at the expense of the employer. So, on the math and English, it parallels with what Travis said. I think the math and English, I look at it more of, probably the more cognitive ability side of things to be able to take direction and do something with it. You don't have to be a math wizard. Our two number one employees here that make the most money probably couldn't pass our math test. So it has something to do with it, but it's not everything. I think their work ethic and their attitude and just their overall personal sense of I want to do a good job has got them everywhere they've gone in life, including myself. So that's my opinion.
Great answer. And Mandy, I want to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with John and Travis. I think the only thing I would add is, so first for HNI Corporation, entry level, you need a high school degree and to be 18, unless you're part of a high school registered apprenticeship program where there's some age opportunities that we can employ you at an earlier age. But yeah, other than that, we'll invest in your training that you would need for a specific skill or job and help you grow your career from there. But definitely agree with attendance, work ethic, optimistic attitude. As I think about math and English, how I would relate the most is for math, it's around the critical thinking and the ability just to solve problems and drive to a solution, because that's really what the workforce is all about. Even in some stereotypical, more redundant jobs in manufacturing, you still face problems every day that aren't according to plan, and you have to work through them to get to a solution. And I think math does a really good job at training your brain to think that way. For the English side, especially as a young high schooler, just entering the workforce, you don't have much experience to speak for the skills that you have on a resume. You probably barely have a resume, but being able to communicate your ideas, your skills, your thoughts, not only in writing as previously discussed, but verbally in person during an interview is really critical. To think about your skills, think about your ideas, think about the experiences that you do have, whether it's a welding class or whether it's a personal problem that you faced that you had to overcome, and how to communicate that and translate it to skills that are required in the job is where English and some of those basic skills that you learn in school can really help.
Great answers, everyone. Travis, do you have any advice for students transitioning into the workforce?
My advice is to do all three things that John just said. Show up on time, work hard when you're there, and have the I'm willing to learn and be positive attitude. Those three things will get you wherever it is you want to go with whatever level of effort you want to put into it. A lack of those things will be a roadblock that holds you back forever. So it's really all about how much effort you want to put into this. If you want to go out and get a career in manufacturing, don't wait for John or Mandy or I to show up on your front doorstep the week after graduation and assume that we're going to beg you to come work for us, right? Make phone calls, talk to your neighbors, find out from your friends who has a parent that works in manufacturing, do job shadows, take an interest, go on websites, send in your resume, ask questions, ask to job shadow. Whatever level of effort you're going to put into getting a job, that's the level of success you're going to have, in my opinion.
Mandy, how about you? Any advice?
Yeah, I would say, two things. One, be willing to continuously learn. I think sometimes students can think, okay, I'm done with school, I'm done learning, but really it's just beginning. It'll just look different once you're in your career, and it'll be more applied to what you're doing, and you'll get paid for it and for the skills that you're gaining. And you may not be in a traditional classroom setting ever again, but you will be continuing to learn. I know I've worked with members that work for us. They've been with us 40 years, and we recently implemented a new robot or a new machine, and now their job is completely changed, and they are learning all new things of how to do their job. So I think always be willing to learn throughout your career. And I definitely echo just the effort piece, right? And be self-reflective in what you like and what you want to do. Often I've seen students who they think they need to be on a certain path, but they're not reflecting on what they like to do or even what they're good at, and they realize it far too late in their career. Similarly, we have numerous educated engineers that are working on the shop floor, running a machine, running a robot, whatever it might be, but they're not an engineer and they love it. You know, that they invested in all this education to be what they thought they should be, without even realizing that they don't like to be behind a computer or whatever that job required. They like working with their hands. They like building machines. They like seeing their results immediately, and that now they're exactly where they need to be. But it took potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars to get there in multiple years of their life. And so just really encouraging students to be self-reflective on what they like, what they want to do, and think about how that can be a career.
Thank you, Mandy. John, how about you? Any advice for students transitioning into the workforce?
I think the one thing I would add is that I've even seen with my own children and their friends. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to get into manufacturing. You may not know anything about it at all whatsoever, but one thing that I've seen with my kids and their friends, they'll go to work at Hy-Vee, they'll go to work at Walmart, they'll do, and I'll ask them, I'm like, why don't you get a job at Bowe Machine or go to Vizient or go to Hahn? Well, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about a machine. I don't know. You don't have to. So just don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. All these companies need you. And so in the end, if you have, the three main things that we've all talked about, you will make it. And in the end, you're going to probably find something in that business that you love to do. And that's what you want to do. You want to find what you love to do. And these companies, all of us will find what you're really good at. And then we're going to capitalize on it. That's what we're here for. So that would be my thing. Don't be afraid. You might not know anything about it, but just go for it. You gotta go for it yourself.
Some great advice today. Thank you all. So I have two more poll questions. And while I launch those polls, we have about 5 minutes left. I just want to encourage anyone on who has a question to put in the chat box. We still have some time to answer that. So if you have any follow-up questions, please go ahead and put it in the chat box. I will launch two more polls. This one is just asking if you're interested in a career in manufacturing. We'll just keep this open for a few more seconds as everyone answers. All right, and then our last one is, have you watched the video series Manufacturing is for Me, put out by the Manufacturing Sector Board? We can also put a link to that in the chat box here. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for coming. It doesn't look like we have any follow-up questions, but Mandy, Travis, John, thank you so much for your wise words and all of your advice. And thank you for allowing me to moderate today. Have a great day, everyone.